The third thing that has no exception, وَبِرُّ الْوَالِدَيْنِ بَرَّيْنْ كَانَ أَوْ فَاجِرَيْنِ. Your parents are good or bad, doesn't make difference. You must be kind to them. This is leaving no chance for anyone who has little iman to be rude to his or her parents, to be disrespectful, and bring excuses. My father did this to my mother, I am hating him. My mother did this, to us, I hate her. No. You cannot speak like this with your parents. The maximum is that you don't approve what they did. You don't cooperate. But you cannot disown them. You cannot harm them. You cannot speak rudely. Even Allah says, لا تقل لهما أف. And Hadith says, off is the least thing that one can say to someone to show dissatisfaction. Even the least you cannot say. Kindness to parents is something that happens during their life and after their life. If you have been very kind to your parents, but you forget them after they die, you are not good enough. You have a problem. How can you be grateful to someone and then when he forgets, if he dies or she dies, you forget? It's impossible. A mu'min, when someone does a little good thing for him or her, as long as this mu'min is alive, remembers. Of course, in Akhirah also remembers, but at least till your last day of life, you must remember. No matter the other person is present or not, you are present and you must be grateful. So, there is no time limit, but there are times which are more important to remember your parents. So, Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, Sayyidul Abrar Yawm al-Qiyamah. We ask Allah, Tawaffani ma'al abrar. Please take me from this dunya and include me among abrar. Abrar means people who are very good, very pious, righteous. We want to be with them. But who are the masters of abrar? Sayyidul Abrar. Imam Baqir alayhi salam says, Sayyidul Abrar Yawm al-Qiyamah. The master of the Abrar on the day of judgment. Rajulun barra walidayhi ba'da mawtihima. A person who is kind to parents after they die. Not just when they are alive and he is seeing them. Even after they die, he not forget them. Does good things for them. Always remembers them with respect. On the day of Eid al-Adha, it's very good to remember your parents and do something good for your parents. On the day of Jum'ah, it's very good to visit the grave of your parents. Rasulullah said, Man zara qabra abawayhi aw ahadahuma fi kull jum'ah. The one who visits the graves of parents, or one of them, maybe one of them is not here, maybe one of them is not available, maybe one of them is still alive. The one who visits the graves of both parents or one of them every Friday, غُفِرَ لَهُ وَكُتِبَ بَرًّا. He would be forgiven and he would be written down, registered as a pious and good person. So you have done Birrul Walidain if you visit them every Jummah. It's about the grave, of course, in dunya also to visit them. What are the benefits of kindness to parents. Outcomes. We talked about outcomes of SILEH Rahim in general. We mentioned few things. But in addition to those general ones, what are the specific benefits for SILEH Rahim with respect to parents or kindness to the parents? One thing is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would be pleased with you. It is narrated that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wrote in Lawh Mahfuz, in the preserved tablet, in Lawh Mahfuz, this is the first thing that Allah has written. Inni la ilaha illa ana. Truly there is no God other than me. Man radhiya anhu walidah fa'ana anhu radhin. Whoever his parents are pleased with him or her, I am pleased with him or her. What a simple and easy way. If you keep your parents pleased, you have done most of the journey already. Sometimes we are looking for some strange ways, to go to heaven. The way to heaven is first to please your parents. Most of the way is just from here. Of course, you have to be clever enough to please your parents without displeasing Allah, without displeasing your family, because sometimes maybe parents expect something against your wife or husband, or sometimes maybe. So you have to be clever how to keep them happy, but do things according to our standards. Yeah, you cannot do zulm to your wife or husband because of your parents. You cannot do zulm to your sister or brother because of your parents. But still you cannot say, I don't bother about my parents. You have to keep them very happy and pleased, but be creative. Think, how can I give everyone his or her do right without sacrificing rights of some people for the sake of others? Mu'min has to be clever. Some people just find the shortcut. Whatever my mother says, I do it. My mother says, divorce your wife, I do it. My mother says, don't give her attention, I do. No, this is not the way you have to. You have to do what your parents want, but in a way that you don't compromise about your other duties and responsibilities. And normally, parents, for the most part, not always, they are easy to please. If you respect them, you love them, and there is a situation that you cannot really do what they want, they understand. Most of the parents don't demand too much. They demand very little. You have to prove that you love them. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, يفتح أبواب السماء بالرحمة في أربعة مواضع. The gates of heaven, the sky, are opened in 4 circumstances. عند نزول المطر. When rain is coming, it's a good time to pray. So once I said, pious people pray for rain and rain comes. Clever people, when rain is coming, pray. Either one of the two. So, this is one. Number 2. وَعِنْدَ نَظَرِ الْوَالِدِ فِي وَجْهِ الْوَالِدَيْنِ. When you look at with kindness to your parents, the gates of heaven are open. So if at time you pray something, even if other people at that time who are present, if they pray, there is a chance that the prayer will be accepted. And now imagine if you look with your parents look at parents with kindness, and they pray for you. That's like a miracle. Whenever you have big problems, the key is ask your parents to pray for you. It's very difficult to be not working unless there's something that there's no maslaha. Otherwise, prayer of parents for a child who is respectful to parents is very difficult to be not accepted. Number 3, وَعِنْدَ فَتْحِ بَابِ الْكَعْبَةِ. If the door of Kaaba is open, that's when the gates of heaven are open. وَعِنْدَ النِّكَاحِ, when there is marriage. This is why when we do khutbatul nikah, we make also some prayer after recitation of, because that's a very blessed time that two people get married under the observation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and commit themselves to a pious life. Gates of heaven are open. Imam Baqir alayhi salam said, أربع من كن فيه من المؤمنين أسكنه الله في أعلى عليين في غرف فوق غرف في محل الشرف كل الشرف. What can you say better than this? There are 4 things that if a mu'min has them, Allah will put him in heaven in the highest place, in a room which is the highest and with maximum honor. You will not be just in a simple place. This is one of those groups. Man anfaqa ala waliday, the one who spends on his parents, does infaq to his parents. Warafaqa bihima, and is very considerate with the parents. Wabarrahuma, and is kind to parents. Walam yahzunhuma, doesn't make them sad. This is the power of kindness to parents, and this is mercy of Allah. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for something which is our basic human duty, yeah? In the whole world, if I have to be kind, at least I have to be kind to my parents. So it's my basic duty. But Allah has put the highest levels of heaven available for people who just do this basic, that they are kind to their parents. Unfortunately, many times we even don't achieve this. Musa alayhi salam had munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. It says, when Musa was doing munajat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِذَا رَأَى رَجُلًا تَحْتَ ظِلَّ عَرْشِ اللَّهِ, in his mystical experience, in his either vision or mukashafa, he saw someone is under Arsh, divine throne, so close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He said, Ya Rabbi, man hadha alladhi qad adallahu arshuk. My Lord, who is this person that your Arsh has provided shadow for him? What has he been doing? Allah said to Musa, هَذَا كَانَ بَارًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ وَلَمْ يَمْشِ بِالنَّمِيمَةِ. He was kind to his parents and did not do gossip, was not taking bad news from one person to another person and, spreading, the faults or problems of people and making people fight each other, So kindness to parents, and just be careful about your tongue, makes arsh your shar. Then, this is about parents in general. Then lots of emphasis are put for kindness to mother. Mother has very special attention to receive. Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam talks about the rights of mother and rights of father. And please remember, when we say mothers have greater rights, it doesn't mean that you compromise about your parents. It means about your father. It means you go to the maximum level of respect, then for your mother you try to stretch yourself more. Not that you say, okay, with my mother I will respect, with father less. No, father also has great respect, but with mother is even more. Okay? Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam says, Amma haqqu ummik. What is the right of your mother? فَأَن تَعْلَمَ. You must know. أَنَّهَا حَمَلَتْكَ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَمِلُ أَحَدٌ أَحَدًا. She carried you in the way that no one carries another person. No one carries any person like a mother. وَأَعْتَدْكَ مِنْ ثَمَرَةِ قَلْبِهَا مَا لَا يُعْطِي أَحَدٌ أَحَدًا. Your mother gave you from the fruit of her heart. She gave you what no one gives to another. She gave her life to you, her soul to you, her pleasure to you, her convenience to you. وَوَقَدْكَ بِجَمِيعِ جَوَارِحِهَا. She protected you with all her body and her existence. If there was any danger, she was protecting you by putting herself at risk. This is mother. وَلَمْ تُبَالِ أَن تَجُوعَ وَتُطْعِمَكَ. When you were hungry and she was hungry, what was she doing? She was feeding you. And then if something was left, she was eating. But first, she was feeding you. تَعْتَشَ وَتَسْقِيَكَ. She was thirsty, but she was giving water. Maybe she didn't have proper dress. Maybe it was cold. Sometimes, you go outside, you don't expect, you don't have, heavy or warm clothes. What does mother do? If she has coat, whatever, takes out and covers the baby. This is mother. She goes under heat, but provides shadow for the child. She doesn't sleep so that you can sleep. So, Imam Zainul Abidin said, إِنَّكَ لَا تُطِيقُ شُكْرَهَا. You cannot be grateful to your mother إِلَّا بِعَوْنِ اللَّهِ وَتَوْفِيقِهِ. Unless Allah helps you and gives you tawfiq. This is not something you can do with your own talents and power. No one can be grateful to his or her mother unless a special tawfiq comes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if even na'udhu billah, once we get angry, then the whole thing will be damaged. May Allah inshallah save us. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, if you are doing nafilah, if you are doing salatul wajib, you cannot cut your salat or break it when your parents call you. But if you are doing nafila, إذا كنت في صلاة التطوع فإن دعاك والدك فلا تقطع. If your father calls you and you are doing nafila, don't break it, or you don't need to break it. But وَإِن دَعَتْكَ وَالِدَتُكَ فَاقْطَعْهَا. But if your mother calls you, break your salat al-nafila. Don't keep your mother waiting. How much Allah loves our parents, how much Allah loves us to be grateful to our parents. He said, you are talking to me, you are doing Salatul Layl, for example. Okay, I am happier if you break your salat, leave me and go, because I am also there. And be kind to your mother.